Hello, welcome back to another episode. I'm feeling very, on color palette today with the painting in my background, but I am talking all things budget, okay? And how you come up with your spend or your investment and how to allocate that, because that can be something that's really tricky to try and understand and navigate. And I first of all encourage you to please don't Google it. Google is going to spit out lots of variables, based on where you are in the world, based on trends, but I feel like the scale on that is just so massive that it's really hard to just pluck a figure out, right? Because I feel like that's what a lot of people do. They go, well, we'd be comfortable spending 50 grand, so let's cap it at that. Or we only want to spend 10 grand, let's cap it at that. And I get sticking to a budget or having a budget is super, super important, because you don't want to be living off baked beans, right? Just to have a celebration. You want to still be able to really enjoy your life whilst planning and throwing this incredible party, wedding, for you and all of your favorite people. So how do we, get a bit of balance there, right? Now, my number one tip is to make a date night. It can just be at home with, takeout pizzas and a bottle of wine, but really just carve out that time for specific wedding talk. So this is really great because it's like an allocated time. So you're not letting that wedding planning, wedding talk creep into every single little piece of conversation or communication that you two have, because that's when it starts feeling like this wedding is becoming this big thing and taking over every little bit of your life, and that breeds overwhelm. So schedule in a date night together and have that allocated wedding chat time. Now, next, I encourage you to really even get a pen and paper out or pull out the notes app in your phone and really start to just have a discussion about, what you're imagining for your wedding day and how you picture the vibe of the wedding day. What do you want your guests to feel? What do you want to feel on your wedding day? And start writing down those words. Dot points are fine, but start writing those down, because that's going to really help start to paint the picture of that end goal that you're wanting to create and feel for the wedding day. So for example, if that is, you don't want to have to mentally think about whether this person's at the right spot, whether this supplier is setting up on time or arriving on time, you just want to breathe easy and enjoy the day, then put that up there. If you're, a really big foodie and you guys love just going out to restaurants and trying new foods, and you find a lot of value in food and sharing food, and it brings back memories of like big family Christmases around the table, like you love that vibe, then food's probably going to be up there. So start just having a discussion between the two of you about what you value and how you imagine that day to feel, and start, touching on those sensory things like that feeling, that experience, right? Really get emotive there. So once you've got your list of those priorities, then you can start to, research, whether that's both of you or one of you, start researching the people in those categories that you love. So if that's food, find some caterers that you absolutely love. Now, if you are, recently engaged and wedding is on your mind, then chances are you're already probably following some people online on Instagram, for example, that you really like the look of. So continue doing this research and engage with them. Then you can reach out and ask for some information, do menu tastings, try and get as much communication flowing with these people, because here you also want to get a sense of how you guys click on a communication basis too. You can love somebody's work and love their service and the look of things on Instagram, but it's very different in terms of actually having a conversation with them or meeting with them and getting a feel for how they are as a person, because it's so important that you also gel really well with those people, because you are paying these suppliers to be part of your wedding team. You need to know that they're going to have your back, but you also actually vibe with, because if something goes wrong or you might have a special sudden request, then it's not going to be this absolute no, I'm bending over backwards for you, you've only paid me this. You've built that relationship, that rapport with them, and chances are they're going to really be in your corner and have your back at those moments. So find people whose work you love and who you actually genuinely get along with, and book them. Figure out a date and book them, right? They are not going to let you down. And I totally understand that pricing definitely has to have a sway in certain areas, but if you can book those people in those priority areas that you wrote down at the start of how you want your day to feel and how you want to remember it, how you want your guests to experience it, then investing your spend, your budget in those areas with those suppliers who you absolutely love in those areas, that is the key. Because having an amazing team behind the scenes of all of this, your hair, your makeup, your photographer, celebrant, everybody, having an amazing team behind the scenes directly impacts what you and your guest experience on the other side of that. Even though your guests might not even interact with the photographer or interact directly with the celebrant, it all forms the experience. And if you can invest in that team behind the scenes, they're gonna have your back, they're gonna be supporting you. You're actually going to enjoy the process, because all of these suppliers, right, will have various questionnaires and paperwork and things like that, like admin stuff, right, that you've got to do as well before the wedding. But it makes all of that process actually really exciting and fun along the way, right? Rather than it being stressful, because you might have booked somebody based on price who, yeah, okay, they're all right, but they're cheap. But there's going to start being gaps. I guarantee you there's going to start being gaps, and then it's actually going to make your life harder because they're not great at communicating, and you've got to constantly follow up with them. Or you thought your date was secure, but turns out it's not. Or they missed signing this for you, or, you know, things like that. Investing in your team in those areas of priority that mean the most to you is going to be what changes the game. I promise you that. So that is how I recommend allocating your budget spend, and then filter down from that. Obviously, there'll be a list of all different things in there, and you can filter your budget down. And just doing a simple Excel spreadsheet is going to be amazing, because you can then start to have a little bit of a play with those figures and really start to tweak things and constantly check in with each other, right? Communication is key. You know, both in a relationship, but also in the relationship that you have with your vendors and your suppliers planning your wedding. So you two as a couple really need to make sure that communication is flowing when you're starting to build out that budget spreadsheet. Come back together, have another date night. Don't let it be something that creeps into every single conversation of every minute of the day. Really try and condense that down so you have like a meaningful allocated time. And then it's not going to become this massive, overwhelming thing that's just, yeah, creeping into every corner of your life. So they are my tips. We will have a budget spreadsheet in the works. Stay tuned on our socials. So that is at etc.eventstyling. We will be putting out, a fun spreadsheet as it sort of captures like places that you can put in your guest list, so you can figure out your numbers, because numbers are really important to get some quotes and pricing from your suppliers, right? It's got room to like have little comparisons of places. If you've got, say, like a couple of venues that you're sort of tossing up between, you can do some comparisons there. And then it goes right into like further wedding planning and budgeting and stuff like that. Now this spreadsheet, it's yeah, not complete yet. It's on its way. Stay tuned, like I said, on our socials, on Instagram. We'll be releasing that on Instagram with a download link there, so make sure you're following along. And if you're really liking these tips so far, please, I would appreciate a subscribe, and yeah, don't miss out on our next tips. See you soon.